Merab is already making excuses for losing at 306, and the card hasn't even happened yet.
If I'm being honest, dude needs to delete social media, delete his social media manager, because showing us first that eye cut with the stitches and then him pulling out the stitches on his own, saying the doctor said they was ready to go, and now the pictures of him with the staph infection, dude needs to eat some vegetables. That body's falling apart.
Well, okay, here's my theory. I think that he is making it look as bad as possible for this O'Malley fight. So when he loses, he's going to be like, I had cuts, I had staph, I was on antibiotics, I couldn't fight, my gas tank was bad. He's making all the excuses for this upcoming fight, which is so annoying.
While the odds of that fight are close, I think everyone's going to be backing Sean O'Malley. We don't need another boring champion like Merab. Like, I think I would maybe rather see Merab less as champion than Bilal.
Ooh, that's a hot take.
I think Bilal has a little bit more personality.
Yeah.
His mic game isn't that bad, even though he sounds like a fool.
Yeah. He actually like does diss people, and he puts time and effort into it on social media. It's just no one cares for some reason.
Yeah, that is true. I think that if you are Merab and you are putting out all these things to make it seem like you are struggling, it's just like no one's going to back you. Even if you're going to lose this fight and then you're going to come out and say all these things, you're just going to be the next Jamal Hill.
Yeah, pretty much. Because, he is going to, if he loses, he is going to come out after the fight and say all these things again. Mm-hmm. And then he's going to be the next Jamal Hill, 100%.
Yeah, well, he's the third best bantamweight.
It's not a news update video if we don't have Dana White talking about the pound for pound rankings. At this point, he's just doing it as a joke to troll the media. But it's actually getting annoying. Like, he is going off the deep end.
He knows it gets clicks right now. Like, we look at even our YouTube video, our second best performing video of all time was last week's MMA news talking about Jon Jones and Tom Aspinall's beef, because people are interested in that. So it means that this fight must happen. I know we say it every week, but yeah, Dana spent out of his 15 minutes of the press conference, what was it?
Too much
of it talking about Jon Jones, about the Contender Series.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with Jon Jones and Tom Aspinall. In your 15-minute press conference, spending some of that time talking about Jon Jones and Tom Aspinall. Well, we just had 5 people get contracts too. Very rarely 5 people get contracts. And one of them might have been the greatest, I don't want to spoil later on in the video, but one of the greatest female KOs of all time. Yeah. Especially with her being such a significant underdog.
He even aired a commercial midway through that was literally just glazing Jon Jones's achievements, which was so crazy. He had all of the stats proving why Jon Jones was the GOAT. And I was thinking like, okay, this is like some sort of promo teaser trailer for maybe 309. And it's going to be like, and he's back, like he's fighting again soon. No, it was literally just a video glazing Jon Jones, pound for pound #1, with no announcement at the end. And someone sent Jon Jones a screen or like a video of it, but it had I am ducking Tom Aspinall at the end.
I saw that.
And he didn't notice. And then everyone was like screenshotting it because he reposted a video that says I'm ducking Tom Aspinall.
But yeah, it was in the little bottom of it.
Yeah. That's got to hurt. That's got to feel bad for Jon Jones. But I think we're getting closer and closer to this fight maybe happening.
But the thing is that we still have to wait for this fight between Jon Jones and Stipe to happen. You can't start booking this fight that'll happen at UFC 320 before his fight at 309 happens. What happens if Jon Jones loses to Stipe?
Stipe has the opportunity to do the funniest thing ever.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, Tom is definitely not getting a Stipe fight. Stipe is 100% retiring.
Yeah.
But it would be much better than Jon Jones winning.
All right. Speaking of the awesome KO that we saw in the Contender Series this week, Lucas texted me and said, dude, you would not believe it. We just saw the greatest women's KO of all time. And he showed me, and it might be.
It might be. I mean, it's up there. It was. The reason why it's so good is because of the underdog betting.
Yes.
Like 13-1.
You have to also look at her backstory too. Dana came out and said after at the press conference that she has no money, was so poor that UFC staff had to go and buy her groceries for the week because she was that poor, and then comes out and just amazing finish.
It was against a Canadian too. Do you see that?
I didn't see that.
Yeah, so that it doesn't hurt because I mean, they both the Canadian looked so awful. Like I don't know how she was that big of a favorite when she doesn't have any defense and just walks forward and like genuinely throws punches while walking forward like this.
I think that there is very little defense though in women's UFC.
Yeah.
Because the strikes don't do as much.
Yeah, that's fair. At the lower levels, like definitely.
But I mean, when you're getting to a championship fight, they're just as good. You know, Zhang Weili is better than Pantoja.
Sorry, that take almost took me out. Some news that's particularly exciting for us because are we going?
I think it's even better. You know, I think we have to go.
I think we have to go. UFC Edmonton, November 2nd, just got a new main event. Brandon Moreno will take on Amir Albazi in a flyweight main event. Erin Blanchfield versus Rose Namajunas will serve as the co-main event. So that means we have those two fights, plus I'm assuming
Derek Lewis is now the feature fight too.
That's not awful.
For a fight night?
It's not awful.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
Hopefully this doesn't mean so that more people actually want to go and tickets are more expensive.
We need those cheap tickets,
but
Dana.
We have a film day scheduled for the morning that the tickets go out, so we'll be ready.
Oh, nice.
We'll have a couple devices open, ready to buy our tickets. And
Pre-sale.
And then go buy our plane tickets and then go buy our hotel. So please subscribe so we can eventually make money and pay this off.
Never happening.
I think that most UFC fans probably care a lot less than us. But because we were planning on going to this event, it makes it more exciting because, not to sound bad, but you don't want to see Rose Namajunas in the main event.
100%. And I think that this is kind of a title eliminator.
Oh, 100%. You like the thing is, I think it's so weird with flyweight is that we have so many like number one contender-ish fights going on right now.
Yeah.
Like we even just saw Kai Kara France versus Steve Erceg, which technically could have been a number one contenders fight, but then Kai Kara France is likely going to fight again.
Who knows?
It's flyweight's weird. It's very similar with what's going on in welterweight.
Yeah, I think Pantoja's given this super long break, 301, and he's not going to be fighting until 310 maybe?
I would assume it would be 310 at this point or 309.
Yeah, so he's not fighting for like 8 or 9 cards. But then after that, he might have to fight back to back to back.
Yeah, he might have to fight at a 310, a 315, and a 320 type deal.
Oh, even faster than that.
Yeah.
Like put him as the co-main for every fight night. I would actually be okay with seeing a flyweight title as a fight night, like a big one.
An Abu Dhabi?
They used to do that all the time.
Yeah, I could see that. I consider co-main events of pay-per-views and fight night main events should be on the same caliber. It still is just so interesting as to why this fight is main eventing a fight night and not on UFC Noche.
Doesn't make sense.
I had booked this fight before it got announced for the November 2nd fight night to be on my rebooking of the UFC 306 card, and it just made so much sense for it to be on there. And now that these guys are fighting just over a month and a half later, it's even more confusing as to why it's not on UFC 306, which has a historically weak card.
Next up in our news, we have Jorge Masvidal expects to return to the UFC before the year's over at UFC 310 on December 7th. He hopes to fight Michael Chandler. It could be this year, Vegas, December 7th. I knock Michael Chandler dead. Leon Edwards doesn't want this smoke. I think, I don't know. I want whatever he's having.
I would want to see Jorge Masvidal versus MVP.
Yeah, as a comeback fight?
I feel like that could be like a fun fight for both. MVP coming off a loss, Masvidal coming back. Like, I don't mind Masvidal coming back because you know it's going to be an exciting fight. You're not going to have a lot of these welterweight point fighting bouts. You're going to have
a war,
chaos,
a scrap,
dirty, backyard brawl type beat.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. I just think he is getting older. I don't know if we saw Henry Cejudo take a layoff and it did not help his career whatsoever. And I don't know, in the upper weight classes, it doesn't matter as much, like your age per se, because it's just more about the striking power rather than the speed and agility. So we could see him make a decent comeback, but I think to screw over Michael Chandler like that would be awful. Did you see that Islam Makhachev and Arman Tsarukyan isn't going to be happening this year?
We all knew, and then UFC came out and said, oh no, it's going to happen, and then it's back to not happening. And it honestly, I'm okay with it. It just makes sense. And it just means that Arman Tsarukyan doesn't have to do that little video about not hitting fans when you're walking out and you get mad. And
anti-bullying?
Yeah, like...
That was so dumb.
So in reality, it honestly just works out best for both fighters, and there's very little reason to do an interim title fight. As fun as it could be to see a fan favorite fighting for an interim belt and potentially winning it, and also interim doesn't make as much sense because outside of Arman, most of the top guys inside of lightweight have already fought Islam and lost. So let's just wait and get the fight that we all really want.
Yeah, I agree. There's no reason to make an interim belt, but it does suck that we have to wait even longer now because Islam puts on some of the best fights right now.
He's so good.
All right, and that does it for this week's news. If you guys like the news segments, make sure you comment and subscribe. We'll see you guys in the next one.
Peace.
See ya.